Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. It's 2 o'clock. Thank you so much for joining us for our webinar today, talking about reopening guidelines and strategies for the Southern Tier and specifically here in Chenango County. We're all very excited that today is the first day of Unpause and phase 1 of the Unpause process here in New York State and especially here in Chenango County, the Southern Tier. Just want to let you know, you all should have just heard a message. We are recording today. We are planning to share this afternoon for those who could not be on the call today and to use as we move forward. I want to just introduce our panel to you really quick. We have some really great people on the line today. Marcas Flindt, he is the Public Health Director with Chenango County Department of Public Health. Thank you so much, Marcas, for taking time to be here today. We also have Matt Beckwith, Director of Emergency Management with the Chenango County Bureau of Fire. Between Marcas, Matt, and myself, I am Kerri Green, President and CEO here at Commerce Chenango. I also act as the Economic Development Coordinator for the county. Between the three of us, we've been really trying to manage what's been going on related to COVID-19 and more specifically to the business community, compliance. There's a lot of pieces to this, as I'm sure you all know. And we just want to make sure that you have the most up-to-date information moving forward. And we have a couple other people who will be joining us today who will be available for the Q&A later. Omar Sanders from Empire State Development is going to be on the call, and Faith Valbra from Congressman Brindisi's office. There's a lot of people on the call today. We were really excited, over 100 people registered for today. And so hopefully we'll be able to give you some answers to the questions that you have as we begin this phase-in process. So I'll start us off. Real quick, the metrics that were needed to reopen the Southern Tier, this was done regionally throughout New York State. You have a map right there of all the regions. The metrics for reopening, as you see on the screen, it's decline in hospitalizations, decline in deaths, new hospitalizations, hospital bed capacity, ICU bed capacity, diagnostic testing capacity, and contact tracing capacity. Those were all the metrics that were used throughout the state to determine if your region could reopen or not. And I'm very happy to say that this past Monday, May 11th, Governor Cuomo announced that the Southern Tier had met all the criteria to begin unpausing, and the phase-in process began. The screenshot that you see is a New York Forward look. It's available on the governor's website. You can download this. It's a great document. It's pretty long. It's about 35 pages, but it goes through all of the things that you need to know as a region, as a business. It lays out the plan. As many of you know, though, the information changes almost daily. They're trying to be really as detailed as possible as we look to the phasing in process moving forward. But this is a great resource. If you have not downloaded it yet, you can. It's available on the governor's website. So phase 1, what does phase 1 look like? That's where we're at today, May 15th. Phase 1 has a few main industry types, which is construction, manufacturing, wholesale trade, select retail for curbside pickup, and agriculture, forestry, and fishing, excuse me. After this PDF was made, this thing, actually they added hunting to that as well. So as we said, and you'll hear this throughout the presentation, the criteria and the expansion of services changes quite a bit. So we're trying to have the most up-to-date information that we can for you. But today what we're really focusing on is phase 1. And so I'm gonna go ahead and go through what some of those phase 1 industries look like. So the first phase is construction. If you are a phase 1 business in construction and you're not sure if you fit into this, here list the bullet points of what you need to do. If you are a building equipment contractor, building finishing contractor, foundation structure, building exterior contractor, highway, street and bridge construction, land subdivision, non-residential building construction, residential building construction, and utility system construction. If you fall within any of those parameters, you are eligible to begin opening today. We'll get into what businesses need to do for that reopening here in just a couple of minutes, but this covers phase 1 construction. Another industry that was added is agriculture, forestry, fishing, and hunting. This includes greenhouse, nursery, floriculture production, animal production, other crop production, support activities for animal production, support activities for crop production, and support activities for forestry. I did pull this off the governor's website on May 13th. They may have added a couple other bullets. Since I did this, I tried as best I can to be as up to date as I could with this, but as I said, they're continuing to expand these subgroups under each industry to try to encompass everything. They're getting a lot of questions, and so when you see changes, move from one day to another. It's really just to add some clarification. So if you go onto the website today and there's another bullet under some of these, it's just to provide some of that additional clarification. The next industry, which I know a lot of people are very excited about, is retail trade. Retail trade is under phase 1. This is for curbside pickup only. There's a long list of what retail trade is, so I won't go through all of them. You can take a look at them on the screen. But what this means is retail curbside pickup. So if you order something online, you can pick it up at the curb. They did say today that you could go into the store to pick it up, but you're not supposed to be in-store shopping. If for some reason where you're located, if curbside pickup is not available, you can go in to pick it up, but it's supposed to be go in, pick it up, and leave. Again, everybody is supposed to be wearing masks and gloves. Excuse me, business owners are supposed to provide hand sanitizer. This is not to be going into store shopping, so I just want to stress that to you. Again, this is an area that's expanded quite a bit, even just since Monday, with what's listed under retail trade. Manufacturing is the next category that is able to start again today. Again, there's a long list there, so I don't want to bore you going through every single one of them. But this, manufacturing is a big area, industry right here in Chenango County. So I know a lot of people are getting back to work or planning to get back to work. And that's another industry sector that was able to open today. Wholesale trades also is able to open today. You'll see the list on here: apparel, piece goods, furniture wholesalers, household appliance wholesalers, merchant wholesalers. There's quite an extensive list. I believe this area too has had a couple additions since we put this together just a day or so ago. Again, if you are not sure if your business falls within one of these 4 general industry sectors, please take a look online. The information is changing every day. They keep it as up to date as they can. But the big question you want to know is, if you're a business owner, what do you have to do to be able to open today? So what did a business have to do to open today? You need to go through a self-certification process. I have the website listed there. Take a look at it, take a picture of it, write it down. If you have not gone to the website yet, that's where you go. There is an extensive list of guidelines for every industry type. So we just talked about 4 different industry types. And within each one, they have a set of guidelines about what your business needs to do to get ready. Go through that, read the guidelines. There's a box that looks exactly like this. That's why we made it this way. It's a blue box with white writing. It says read and affirm detailed guidelines. So it's an 8-page document. It's a PDF. It goes through what you have to do as a business owner to make sure your business is health and safety ready for employees and customers. You read the guidelines, you click the box that says I certify. It takes you to a form page at the end. You put in your name, your business contact information, and then you just say, I certify that I've read the guidelines. That's the first part of this. The second part is printing your safety plan template. Again, the box looks just like this. There's one for every different phase within the website. You click on that, it brings up a PDF that you can print and you can fill out by hand. This safety plan is your way to show, if the question was asked, how you've implemented safety measures. So it talks about, cleaning your workspace, cleaning, making sure that your employees are safe. What are you doing if you're a retail industry? How are you managing, customers to make sure that you're following the guidelines? Every business needs to have this safety plan on hand in their locations. If you have more than one location, you need one for every location. What they keep saying with the calls with the governor's office is, think about it like a liquor license. If you were a restaurant and you need to display a liquor license, every business has to have this template ready. If an employee has a question, if a customer has a question, if for some reason there's an investigation, you need to say, these are the steps that I took and this is what I've done to show that I'm ready. And I know there's probably gonna be some questions about that. Right now is the time to start getting your business ready. There was a question that was brought up about essential businesses. So there are a number of businesses that had applied for essential status when all this first started. Right now, if you go to the governor's website, it does not have a spot under phase 1 for an essential business. They're saying that down the road, essential businesses might have to do the self-certification, but because you received essential status, all they're asking that essential businesses do is have that plan in place. So here at Commerce Chenango, we had applied for essential status when this first happened and we were granted it. So I have a plan for our business, even though we're essential. We haven't self-certified yet, but we have a plan of how we're keeping everybody safe. That's exactly what you have to do. And to get more into these details about how to make your workplace ready, I'm going to have Marcas Flindt jump on. Marcus, are you on?
Yes, I'm here, Kerri.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and I'll advance the slides when you tell me. And thank you so much. This is Marcas Flindt from the Chenango County Health Department.
Thanks, Kerri. Good afternoon, everyone. So there are 6 essential areas that the state is really looking for in your plan, and they're listed on the screen here. Number 1, prepare the building, prepare the workforce, control access, create a social distancing plan, reduce touch points and increase cleaning, and communicate with confidence. So these areas we're going to go through in detail here today, a slide for each one of these 6, and this is what needs to be in your plan. So I hope this will be very helpful to you. So the first one, prepare the building. Cleaning plans, pre-return inspections, HVAC, and mechanical checks. You can read the points there. I'm not going to read the slides, but I'm going to make some comments as you read. So really, this is getting your building ready to be open again. These are key points that the state is looking for that I've heard over and over is that first point on the screen, ensure safety of all workers. So preparing the building, clean the building thoroughly. It may have been closed. Well, it was closed for quite a period of time. It needs to be done. Things like getting your supply chain up and running again. Your employees can enter the building before it's open to the public. Bring in your clerical first, get functions up and running, have them answer emails that might have been piling up over the past weeks, month. Get your clerical procedures up and running. That's really important because then you can launch from there. Next slide. Prepare the workforce. Policies for deciding who returns, shift, scheduling, management, employee communications. Obviously, your employees need to hear from you when you expect them back at work. What day, what time should they report? Take a look at shifts, if you're into shifts, and communicate clearly your expectations to them of when you want them to work. About halfway down the 4th bullet, evaluate why and how some employees benefit from continued, and that's working from home. The fewer employees in your office, the least problem you're going to have with social distancing, less cleaning needs to be done. Be thinking if it's important to have some of those employees work from home. Can they work from home? Do you want them to work from home? And we'll talk a little bit about social distancing in one of the future slides here. Next. Okay, control access. Protocols for safety and health checks, building reception, shipping, receiving, elevators, and visitor policies. You really want to control your building. Be thinking about what entrances and exits you want your employees to use, and really more importantly, what the traffic flow will be for customers coming in. I particularly like the 3rd bullet, install plexiglass shields as appropriate. I think this is really important for your reception staff. that person at the counter who's going to have the first encounter with people coming in as customers and people off the streets. You know, when you go to a buffet, there's usually a sneeze guard, a plexiglass over the food. Same idea here. A plexiglass shield between the public and your reception staff. It makes an awful lot of sense. You'll probably want to have some wipes on hand to disinfect after each customer. They should be used on countertops, pens that the public might pick up at your counter and use. You'd want to wipe them down after every customer. It's those types of things you should be thinking of and putting in your plan. Kerri, I think we can go to number 4. Create a social distancing plan. Okay, decrease density, schedule management, office traffic patterns. This first bullet, the state, we hear this all the time, over and over and over. Social distancing. It really means that for your employees and your customers coming in, no one should be within anyone else's 6-foot diameter. We're thinking that that is the range of transmission for COVID-19. You know, you might want to think about moving some of your furniture around. Specifically, you don't want your employees sitting closer than 6 feet from each other. Again, cleaning is very important. I want to say a little something about masks at this point. And when I talk about masks, I usually talk about masks and facial coverings. They should be used by employees that are not 6-foot social distancing at all times. This is true with employees, really, and customers. You don't want anyone within 6 feet of anybody else. I think that's really important to include in your plan. I know the state is going to be looking for that. Encourage, you know, your employees to wash hands frequently. By frequently, I mean probably every hour, hour and a half throughout the day. Encourage the use of hand sanitizer. And another thing that's really important that people don't often think of is we should not really be touching our face. You know, your eyes, your nose, you know, germs can enter the body that way. So really, hand washing, hand sanitizer, don't touch your face. Really important. Next slide, please, Kerri. Okay, manage touch points and increase cleaning. You know, touch points, what do I mean? You know, these items are such things that, you know, multiple people are touching all the time. Copy machine buttons, door handles, that type of thing. You really want to try to pay extra attention to try to wipe them down intermittently during the day, you know, if at all possible. The first bullet lists a lot of different areas in a business. You know, I think you include that type of language in your plan. What it boils down to is you clean everything. The fifth bullet. You know, you should have an idea of a room that you would designate if your employee particularly, you know, identifies with symptoms. So what do I mean with symptoms? You know, if they come down with fever, cough, you want to kind of remove them from the rest of the employees. Be in touch with their doctor, or you can call the Chenango County Health Department. We'd be happy to talk to you and direct you. You should put a mask on that person. You know, I put a mask on myself, that protects you. You put a mask on yourself, it protects me. So this could be a potentially contagious person. You want to put a mask on them so it protects everybody else in the business. I think ultimately that patient will leave your business, be sent home, excuse me, sent to the doctor. When they leave, guess what? You want to disinfect everything you can in that room and air it out. The 2 points at the bottom also, limit in-person meetings and gatherings in the office. You know, how can you reinvent your business in those areas that can possibly be reinvented to do more conference calls, Zoom meetings? You want to reduce the number of people, employees, and the public inside your building at all times. That's a really important goal. Number 6, Kerri. Communicate for confidence. You know, this has been a tough time for all of us. It really has. It's scary. You know, and recognize the fear in your employees as they return to work and you ask them to come back to work. And it's the bullet points here are really just good management, establish communications, create trust, transparent culture, be ready to answer any questions that they might have. If your employee asks you a question and you don't know the answer, you know, be in touch with me at the health department or Kerri at Commerce Chenango, and we'll get an answer for you. The last bullet, the second item, employee travel policies. You know, at this point in time, when you first open, I would recommend that you certainly limit travel, you know, conferences where other people are going to be congregating in large numbers. You want to really try to avoid that, at least initially till we get a number of weeks or a month or so under our belt to make sure that the number of hospitalizations and confirmed laboratory cases of COVID-19 in the county are continuing to go down. Next slide. I wanted to talk a little bit about this. As Kerri said, you have to register your plan with the state. You have to have a copy of it at your business. And what I am hearing is that if an employee or a member of the public registers a complaint that you are not social distancing, you're not cleaning, this type of thing, that you're not complying with what's required by the state and what's in your plan, eventually those complaints will come to me. And I do have enforcement authority, but I don't want to use that. I want to partner with all of you. We've all been through a terrible time here. I want to do everything that I can to help each of you get up and running effectively. I know you need to get back into business. So if I get a complaint, the first thing that I'm going to do, most likely, is you'll receive a phone call. Health department got a complaint and just discuss it with you. You know, does your plan need to be tweaked a little bit? We can help you with that. You know, and we implement any changes and, you know, you move forward. You know, I use enforcement with all of the other programs at the health department too, as a very, very last resort. In that case, there would be a fine, financial fine, a potential court appearance, but I wanted all of you to know that that's the very, very last resort that I use. I do want to partner with you. I want to get you open, have you stay open. We'll work with you. Absolutely. Next slide. So, phase one, we're opening. Phase one, those businesses that Kerri talked about at the top of the webinar. The state has indicated that they're going to continue to regionally look at the numbers of confirmed cases, hospitalizations, deaths from COVID-19, and it's very possible that if those numbers spike or go up as a region, a southern tier region, we will have to drop back. Nobody wants that. By drop back, I mean the businesses would have to close again for a period, I'm hearing, of 14 days and then reopen with all of the things that we just talked about here. So, I appreciate all of your, cooperation. It behooves you as a business owner and as a citizen and all of us to do those items that I spoke about here, the social distancing, the cleanliness, all of that, so we don't have a spike and we don't have to drop back. So we'll all see how this goes. I certainly wish each and every one of you and your businesses well as you reopen. You certainly have my best wishes. Good luck.
Thank you, Marcus. That was a really great overview of the steps that businesses can take to get themselves ready. We do have a few questions that I think would be relevant to you since you're on and you're unmuted. A couple questions that I think you can help answer. Somebody had asked about shopping without a mask. What can be done if there are people shopping without a mask? They're asking, is a mask just a strong suggestion or is it a requirement?
I would recommend that a citizen who wants to shop in your store, well, it'll be telephone a lot. I would recommend you tell them that they have to wear a mask. This is a very serious epidemic, and that it's to protect themselves and you and your employees.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's good advice. I think just knowing, like you said, you wear a mask for your safety and mine, and doing the best we can to help monitor that. Thank you. One of our listeners wants to know if they can put they must be retail, if they could put merchandise outside for sale. You're not allowed to do in-store shopping. So if you're a retail business doing curbside pickup only, I'm guessing it's almost like a sidewalk sale. What would be the determination on that?
Yes, I believe you could do that. I would recommend then, if a customer buys something, they stay outside on the sidewalk. They don't enter your store. You go in, make change, execute the transaction, bring them back the change, and then you might take the merchandise in too to wrap it or whatever you do. I think we can accommodate that at this point.
Good. Somebody did ask, by the way, if the slides are going to be made available. Not only are we recording today's session, but yes, we will send a PDF of all the slides to everybody who registered for today, so you can go ahead and take a look at that. One of our listeners asked about temperature screening of employees. Is that required or is that a suggestion?
Suggestion.
Okay. There was a question about group gatherings, groups of 2, or are we groups less of, what group sizes can get together? Marcus, I had a call today, and I know that this came up about you know, having like garage sales, yard sales groups together. And at this point, they're still saying no group gatherings. That's your understanding as well, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
I think that's only smart, and I think it's common sense. At auctions, at yard sales, what happens? Invariably, people get together within a foot distance of each other, 2, 3, 4 people, and start to talk. It's natural. It's a natural human thing. So I think it's smart to forego that at this point.
So that goes along with a question that was asked about bars being open in phase 3 or 4. You know, I would say that we're not quite sure about that yet because bars tend to bring gatherings of groups of people. So I don't know that we have an exact answer on that. Marcus, do you?
No, I don't. Restaurants are under phase 3. So, you know, if everything goes smoothly and we advance through the phases, that'll be a month and a half from now.
Okay. Somebody asked about pet grooming, and actually I can answer this. This came up on the regional control room call that I was just on before this started. In case you weren't watching the governor's update today, there's been a change to phase 2, which I know I'm personally excited about, is personal grooming, personal services like hair and nails has been added to phase 2 with precautions in place, of course. And that's, you know, with everything that we're talking about, it's with proper precautions, proper social distancing. Somebody asked about pet grooming. Somebody asked that on the call today about that. And what they had said was that pet grooming for sake of animal safety right now is essential, but general pet grooming has not been addressed yet, but I know that they're talking about it as a region. So just to help answer that. I think as far as anyone shopping in stores, there was a question about anyone shopping in a store. I think that generally is a no. Your store is not open for shopping like we said earlier. It's for curbside pickup only. So I do see we have a couple other questions. There's one more about masks. Let's see. I think the mask thing you already answered about it's recommended to wear it. And just real quick, each phase is, they're saying right now, they're saying to plan for 2 weeks. Again, like Marcus said earlier, the slowdown of the phase opening will depend on how the region reacts. If we see an uptick in cases, they're going to slow it down. But it's a good measure to think at least 2 weeks, and we'll take guidance from the state on that.
That's
okay.
correct.
Right. Marcus, do you have anything else to add about any of that before we move on to Matt?
No, that's fine. Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll come back to you. Don't go anywhere.
All right, I'll stay tuned.
All right. Well, now I'd like to introduce Matt Beckwith. Matt, are you all set on?
I am.
All right. Thanks, Matt. Thank you so much for joining us. I know there were some questions in here about when the county is reopening, and I know Matt has some information he wants to share with you. So I will turn it over to Matt Beckwith.
Okay. So Mark Flindt and I have been working on a reconstitution plan for Chenango County. And Kerri, if you'd advance the next slide. What we did with this plan is we mirrored the governor's directives and the phases. As the region proceeds through those, we will open up the county office building using those same techniques. So we discussed on staggered return to work by department. We went over and reviewed workplace cleanliness. When we got through writing the plan, this was a draft plan, and of course it had to been approved, reviewed by the county attorney and approved by the chairman of the board of supervisors, in which he did on Monday. So on Wednesday, we presented it to all the county department heads and reviewed this plan with them. And we'd been talking about it during several weekly conference calls that we were having. So a lot of these items we've been working on throughout the disaster over the last couple of weeks. So we started talking about workplace cleanliness, spacing of workstations and desks. There were several areas throughout the county office building where desks were back to back. So we had to make necessary arrangements to space those out, maintaining the 6-foot social distancing. We reviewed a plan and discussed about the returning and cleaning of borrowed equipment. Some people have used equipment that, such as laptop computers and other things that they had taken home to conduct their work with. And so we had to develop a policy for them to bring them back and how they were going to disinfect those. So if there was an exposure at their house or while they were in possession of it, they weren't transmitting that back into the county office building. Same thing with important documents. Again, a lot of our folks were working from home or remote offices. So, a lot of that stuff had to be returned back. We went over a plan on how to notify all of our county employees.
Yeah, it's just not, the audio's not going on.
And so we went through that procedure and how exactly they're going to notify all the employees 1 week prior to us advancing to the next phase. And then we discussed childcare needs, because as you know, schools are still closed and will remain closed until at least September. They're still up in the air about the summer school programs and other things and daycare. So, we listed places that our employees could seek out any childcare needs that they may have in order for them to return to work. Go ahead, Kerri, next slide. So some of the things, this is the phases in which the county office building is going to open. So we developed into 5 different phases as opposed to 4. In the first 4 phases, we did mirror the governor's directives and the region. So as the region migrates from phase 1 through phase 4, so will the offices at the county office building. Phase 5 is actually where we're going to open the building up to general public. So the first 4 phases, if anybody wants to conduct business within the county office building, they will have to make an appointment with the respective agency or department that they're going to see. So they're going to manage an appointment schedule. They have been dictated within their departments on how they're going to run that. Their department heads came up with how they're going to end up taking on appointments, keeping in mind that, in between our visitors that come to the county office building, we need to disinfect work areas and everything. So we're not doing we're trying to limit as much cross-contamination as we can, both for our employees and the public that are coming in. So some of the areas that remained open throughout the disaster was obviously the chairman of the board was still present in his office. Airport administration and DPW was working, and they reduced their staff by 50%. Our office, the public health department, the Preston Manor and the sheriff's office were still in operation throughout this entire event. So I know there was a question that came up, today was the beginning of phase 1. Logistically, it made good sense to reopen the county office building on Monday as opposed to doing it today on Friday. So phase 1, public facilities, obviously will open up. They need to be back to full staff in order to be able to take care of the cleaning of the county office building and running multiple shifts. Behavioral health, the administration will all be back. The chairman's office will be back in full operation. The county attorney's office, the same. DPW, based off of the number of employees and the projects that they have slated to start out this year with, they're going to bring back additional employees. They're not going to bring back all their staff. They're going to phase that out over 3 different phases. District attorney's office and the public defender's offices will begin to reopen, but there are some departments within the county office building that not only are they a county department, but a lot of the services that they do or perform are run by state administration. So the district attorney's office, public defender's office, and Department of Motor Vehicles, even though we have them slated to open up, a lot of their activity is going to be based off from when the courts get released. Now, courts are going to start up in some areas, a lot of town courts and some county court activity is going to open up within phase 1. They're going to take care of a lot of the lighter caseloads that are not going to require mass people. For example, there will be very limitations on trials, grand juries, other things like that that will come out later on in various different phases. Public Health Department, all divisions will be back by then. Our IT department will be back. And I'm sure most of you know already, we did go ahead and open up the transfer stations in North Norwich and in Brisbane, and they will be back up and running at full staff throughout phase 1. So again, 14 days will go by. Through the region, we'll be monitoring all of the amount of testing that we have to perform, all of the tracing, contact tracing that we've got that Marcus's office has to perform. We have to monitor the hospital ICU capacity, all this. If everything goes fine within the region, then we will then migrate to phase 2, where Area Agency on Aging, who again, we're working at bare staff, if you would say, doing their Meals on Wheels program. They will be back in full operation. The auditor's office, support staff from behavioral health, the clerk of the board, county clerk's office will then reopen for phase 2. DPW will bring back their phase 2 employees. Again, DMV, they're not slated to be fully operational until the 6th of June. And they will, again, all be by appointment only, including Department of Motor Vehicles. DSS caseworkers, DSS examiners, Office of Employment and Training, Personnel Probation, and the Treasurer's Office, again, will all be opened up by appointment. Next slide, Karen. Phase 3, behavioral health. The counselors will be back. The Board of Elections will be in full operation, in which you know that we have early voting coming up for the Republican primary. The full Board of Supervisors will be back. And again, we have to maintain social distancing requirements. We have to maintain the masking. We have to maintain the hand washing, the hand sanitizer usage, and all that. So if you've ever been in the county office building and you look at the Board of Supervisors room, logistically that could potentially pose an issue, because a lot of the supervisors during the board meeting sit less than 6 feet apart from each other. So we'll have to be making some adjustments within the county office building. DPW phase 3, DSS line staff, planning will be back, real property tax, stop DWI, and veteran services will be all opened up in phase 3. Phase 4 will be basically the rest of the county offices. And if everything, like Mark said, if everything works well, we're going to be migrating through these phases 14 days apart. I think it's important to reemphasize the fact that in the event that our regional numbers exceed the limitations or guidelines that have been set forth by the governor's office, we may be required to pause and stay within that phase, or actually go backwards. And then, so if we are in phase 3 and we have to go back to phase 2, those offices listed in phase 3 will then reclose, and then we'll be operating up into phase 2. So first 4 phases go by, again, by appointment only within the county office building. Phase 5 will begin 14 days, projectively 14 days after phase 4, and then the building will be opened up to the public. So within the first 4 phases, we have decided that there's going to be 2 main entry points into the county office building. One will be the main entry point, what we call the 1966 wing, which most of you are familiar with. It's one directly off from the parking lot. And then the second point of entrance will be the 1990 wing, which actually leads into the Department of Social Services. So if you're standing looking at the county office building from Court Street, it's the one straight ahead of you. And then if you look to your right, where the 2 buildings actually come together in a corner, a 90-degree corner, there's a doorway that'll be there. So those will be the 2 entry points only into the county office building for the public. Just inside those initial set of doors, the sheriff has graciously provided up to 4 deputies that are going to be monitoring the security within the building and allowing people access in and out of the county office building. People that will be coming to the building to conduct work as their employment will be able to go right straight through there. The general public will be screened prior to their entry into the county office building. So they'll come through the first set of doors, and they'll be greeted by 2 deputies that'll be there. They will conduct a brief survey and excuse me, and conduct some simple temperature monitoring. And then they will contact the respective department in which they're going to visit and tell them their appointment is here, make sure that they're aware, and then they will let them into the building. So this is going to be a little daunting. It's going to be a little time consuming for the people to get in and out of there. We're asking for people to make sure that they allow for enough time. So if their appointment is at 10 o'clock and they show up at 2 minutes to 10, realize that they're going to have to be screened before they're allowed into the building to meet their appointment. The department heads will be giving the sheriff's office a list of appointments daily that they're having and updating those as frequently as they can. So again, our building will be open to the public, but it will be restricted. It will continue to be restricted by order of the chairman of the board of supervisors until at least phase 5. And then at phase 5, we will then open it up completely and people will have access to the building as they once did before.
All right, thank you, Matt. Thank you both to Matt and Marcus for your great presentations. And again, we will make sure that these slides and the presentation is available. We do have some questions, and I know Omar Sanders from Empire State Development is on. I don't know if Omar, did you want to say anything right now from ESD before we go into the question portion?
Hi, good afternoon. No, just to say thank you for sort of allowing me to participate. I think sort of what you rolled out as sort of really gets to some of the details of not only phase 1, but what we're looking to do as we phase out this process. I think one important thing, and I think you already touched on it, is sort of the safety plan. As we move forward with this, we're using that as a little bit of sort of a universal template, if you will, across industries, because it really has a lot of those sort of key procedures that I think translate across most industries. As we get into the phased approach, however, you know, there will be maybe some modifications to the guidelines, especially for some of those businesses where social distancing may be a little bit more complicated. So I would just encourage all of you to stay tuned for some of that with you know, as we move forward in different phases, and check the website regularly for any of those updates.
Thank you, Omar. Yeah, I think that's a really great point. I know we said it earlier, but you know, the information changes all the time. You know, it's a good thing because everyone at the state is recognizing that this is sort of a shifting thing, and they want to make sure that they're as detailed as possible and giving the most accurate information as possible. So, you know, it's not to confuse you, it's to help clarify. So, you know, please check if you have a question, if you're not sure. That it's, you know, I find the portal is very simple to use. It's very easy to follow. It's easy to find your area and your section to go ahead and certify. But please keep looking at that frequently. I mean, I check it every day. I check it a couple times a day just to see if anything has changed. So I will get to some of the questions here, and Matt and Marcus, if you just want to be ready to help answer, we can do this together. So we had a question about the plan, and I think we did say that, you know, the plan that you have does not have to be sent to Matt, it doesn't have to be sent to Marcus, it doesn't have to be sent to me. Have it in your store, have it ready to go. That's all that they're really asking that you have. So you don't have to submit anywhere, you're not approving it. A question about libraries has come up. I know this came up, I emailed Marcus and Matt about this yesterday through the control room about libraries. That is being reviewed right now. Right now, they're considering regular operating libraries like a bookstore. So it's available for curbside retail. So a library could begin doing curbside pickup for books. However, if your library is municipally owned, they're leaving that up to the municipality that owns it to make that determination. I don't believe the ones in Chenango County are owned by our municipality, right? We talked about that yesterday. So Matt and Marcus, do you have anything to add about this?
No, there are some libraries that are owned by the municipalities, and you're absolutely correct. They're leaving it up to the governing board, the municipality, to make the determination on whether they want to open or not. And again, if they do open, then they have to maintain the requirements of the social distancing and masking and all that.
Thank you. Thanks, Matt. There was some question about, if people aren't following the rules. There's a question here specifically about construction. I think, Marcus and Matt will agree, there is a website available. If you have a concern, you can submit something to the state. You can call the health department. Like Marcus said, they're not looking to shut people down. We're looking to help educate people. And I think more often than not, it's just people not understanding fully what those steps are being taken that they need to take. So the view of the health department and all of us is to help people understand. So, I would maybe, if it's someone that I would maybe talk with them about the decision that they're making. If you're an employee, I would say go to your employer before you file a complaint. Just see, they might not quite understand the parameters. And Marcus, do you have anything, or Matt, do you have anything else to add about that?
Yeah, Kerri, I think that's good advice. I'll give you a real example that I'm sure we're going to have is in Chenango County, a lot of fathers and sons work together. They formed a construction company. They're having supper at home at night. They're in the family room at night. They're family members. They don't need to wear a mask to be around each other, but yet they're observed during work, working close side by side without a mask. Well, that may be reported. We'll investigate it, but they would not require a mask. So it's case by case. If you're concerned about something, please, as Kerri said, make a complaint and we'll look into it.
Thank you. There was a question about being able to review a plan and request to be placed in a different phase. I would say right now the information we're getting from the state is that the phases, they're trying really hard to make the phases as detailed as possible. Having said that, I know that there's talks in the state and there's talks in this regional control group about those gray areas. People that maybe offer multiple services. Somebody in here also asked about Wolf Mountain because, you can be separated from each other. Right now, today, the answer is no, but I can tell you that these questions are being brought up. I've been communicating with Matt and Marcus pretty regularly throughout the week. If you saw on Monday, they have these regional control rooms, and so I'm sitting on that as proxy for Chairman Wilcox, and having these conversations with the other people in the Southern Tier, and we're trying to address these questions and as they come up that pertain to each of our counties. So I would say as these things come up, please let me, Marcus, or Matt know. We'll pull our resources together, and then every day I have this call. So we'll do the best we can to try to address some of these questions for those gray areas that come up. But as far as moving phases, I don't think that's going to happen. If your entity is a little gray and doesn't exactly fit into one or the other, then we can have some of those conversations. Let's see. We talked about questions about court, but I think you addressed that. See what else. The question about a sole proprietor retail business, are they allowed to have customers in the store if they don't have employees? Marcus, do you want to address that?
I would say that's possible. Again, social distancing, cleaning after every customer leaves. You really got to adhere to those standards.
Yep, thank you. I think that they are understanding that. We talked about some of the executive orders, right? So some of these things that happened. One of the last executive orders that happened when things were closing down was at first sole proprietors were allowed to be open if it was just one person, and then an executive order stopped that. I think this is again another area that the state's getting a lot of questions about. If you're a one person shop and you only let one customer in at a time, I think again that's a gray area. They are allowing our municipalities to make some of these determinations. Again, as Marcus and Matt have both said, I think as long as you're taking proper social distancing, you're cleaning, you have, plexi, glass up, you're doing what you need to do. Again, nobody is trying to stop anybody from opening their business or having a livelihood. We're just doing the best we can to follow the parameters that have been given by the state, but to just really ensure everybody's safety.
And Kerri, if I were a sole proprietor and I was the only one in the shop, the store, and I had a customer come into the store, I would really make sure that customer was wearing a mask.
Yep.
That's to protect you as the store owner.
Good advice. Somebody asked a question about churches. Again, I can tell you what I've heard in the control room, and then if Matt and Marcus want to add anything, you know, right now churches are still, you're not able to have services like you have been. There's been a big push around the state to be able to, you know, like drive-ins are having, you know, people are saying now drive-ins are going to be open. A question came up in another county in the Southern Tier asking, churches were asking, can they do a service in their parking lot when people don't get out of their cars? There definitely is a push for this. I can tell you again, as of today, right now, the answer is no, but I can also tell you that they're addressing this, they're trying to make this work, the one thing that they don't want to have happen is, you know, there's 8 counties in the Southern Tier. They're not going to have Tioga County allow something and not have Chenango. So I think that's another reason why we're having these daily control room calls, is so that we can all talk together about what people are doing. And we have 2 representatives or 3 representatives from the state on those calls. So, you know, they're helping us to make those determinations and giving us some guidance and making sure that we're consistent throughout the Southern Tier. Matt and Marcus, do you have anything about that you want to add?
I think you hit it on the nail, on the head. Yep.
Okay. Asking about a sole proprietor, if they open up for delivery only, do they still need to have paperwork plans available at their place of business?
Kerri, I would say so.
Yep. I would agree. Yeah. Having the plan in place really just protects everybody. I think, you know, we talked about this being a liability issue, you know, and also just making sure your customers know that you've thought about their health and safety, making sure that your employees know that, and just making sure that you have something in place to show that you've taken proper precautions, I think is, you know, necessary. Oh, Faith was on. Faith, did you leave? She sent a message. She said she wanted me to let everybody know that the Congressman Medici is in DC today voting on a 4th bill. Included in the bill is more for small businesses and funding for local municipalities. And she's just letting everyone know to contact her office if you have any questions. She did post her phone number at 607-644-0986. I did not catch her jump on, otherwise I would have had her talk. So sorry about that, Faith. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and try to wrap this up. I know it's getting close to 3 o'clock. Again, as all of us have said, if you have any questions, you know, you have great resources here in Chenango County. You can get a hold. I'm going to post some phone numbers at the end of the presentation. Our partners at the state and ESD, everybody is, you know, working hard to try to get you the most accurate information and stay as current with it as we can. So just a couple things I want to just, since I have all of you on here, just want to update you. If you've seen, we started a Fueling the Frontline initiative here at Commerce Chenango almost a month ago, and I think this week was the 4th week of deliveries. We kicked this off by supplying meals to frontline workers at UHS Chenango Memorial Hospital, not only at the hospital, but at their specialty clinics around the county. To date, we have raised almost $8,000. Our goal was to raise $10,000, so we've almost hit that goal. We've given out 389 meals, and we've also used 23 local restaurants from around the county to deliver these meals. And just a shout out to the restaurants for doing everything they can and complying with the rules that the hospital needed as far as things being individually wrapped and dropped off at certain times of the day. They've been really wonderful. We're still moving forward. We still have you know, plenty of funds. Actually, you'll see later on our social media pages. Today we ordered really cool cookies from Kelly Banks Cakes in New Berlin, and we gave It's Hospital Appreciation Week, and so every employee, 500 cookies were handed out today, and so we're excited to see those pictures move forward. I did make a note. We really focused on UHS Chenango Memorial Hospital for the first few weeks, trying to get through every department. But now moving forward in the future weeks, we're going to be doing food service to nursing homes, the VA, emergency services, and others who serve us in healthcare and service industry. So a huge shout out to all of our frontline workers. You know, if you are at all interested in participating or donating to this, we have a GoFundMe page. You can send donations to the Chenango Foundation here at Commerce Chenango. But thank you to everybody who has donated and made this great program so much better. It's been really a lot of fun, and everyone has been so appreciative of the donations. Then, okay. And then just a huge thank you. So, found some really great pictures of some activities around Chenango County. This is some of what makes us so great. And so I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank Marcus and Matt for being a part of this presentation. It's been a wonderful collaboration. And I think, between us and our offices, we've been doing our best to try to handle questions as they've come up. We talk regularly. So if there is something that comes up that you have a question on with your specific business, please let me, Marcus, or Matt know. We'll do our best to get you the information as soon as we can. There are some phone numbers if you want to know where to call if you have a question. And our offices and our staff are ready to help you. And if we don't have the answer right away, we know where to go to get it. So I just would like to thank you for being a part of this. We are going to post this recording and we'll share out the slides. Marcus and Matt, or Omar, do any of you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, I appreciate being able to speak today. I appreciate the job that you're doing at Commerce Chenango, Kerri. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
I would echo that as well, Kerri. Nice job.
Well, it's been a great team, great partnership. So I think you're two of my favorite people over at the county right now. So don't tell Shane that. All right, well, thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. I hope phase 1 continues to move as great as it has been, and I think we're gonna plan to do this before each phase reopens. So when we get ready for phase 2, we'll pull together some more information and we'll do this again. So thank you so much. Have a great day.